Daniel Bomberg is an impressive and active young person. I was deeply impressed when reading Daniel's scholarship application. It wasn't just his long list of activities and accomplishments, or even how well, clear, and eloquently he had written it. It was something more, something a bit more special, and something essential and crucial in the social justice fight for LGBTQIA justice. It was his strong commitment to align himself and his work with LGBTQI justice, regardless of how he himself identifies. In short, it is his allyship and stewardship of justice that we are honoring here tonight. I can go in detail about his long list of accomplishments, but I will instead share with you some powerful and inspirational words of Daniel's that are incongruent with our theme here tonight, We Are the Ones. Daniel wrote, "Trying to change the root of prejudice, which may be grounded in ignorance, generates the greatest personal growth in individuals, thus stimulating constructive development of their character. As Daniel has demonstrated, it is upon us to follow the youth in developing our characters and our capacities to create a socially just world. It is with great pleasure that I introduce Daniel Bomberg."
Thank you, Gay Straight Alliance, for imparting such a generous scholarship to me. My family and I highly appreciate it, and it will hinder some of the financial burden of college. My name is Dan Bomberg, and I attend Marquette University High School in Milwaukee. I would like to thank 3 people, 2 of which who are here this evening, for really sticking with me, especially helping and advocating for social equality. My teacher, Mrs. Bonisho, for invigorating me to find my passion for justice, and by her constant enthusiasm that sets an example for me to work tirelessly. My teacher, Miss Egan, for sharing unabashed constructive criticism so I could hear a brutally honest perspective on how I handled specific situations. And finally, my teacher, Mr. Cron, who is not here this evening, for helping me find comfort in constantly questioning. Without them, myself, along with many other students, would not have had the audacity to candidly vocalize their perspectives. If you could give them a round of applause, that'd be great. To give you some background, Marquette is an all-male Catholic high school. It is run by the Jesuit order and has a socially conservative alumni base that fuels the school financially, dictating much of how the administration runs it. This alumni base has cultivated an environment where traditional gender roles are celebrated and detrimental machismo is favored. This is a disadvantage to any person whose identity is alternative to tradition, and especially for the minority of my concern, LGBTQIA individuals. At Marquette, there is no Gay Straight Alliance, no overt support for LGBTQIA people, and, for a while, no acknowledgement of gender, sexual orientation, identity, and expression in dialogue about the school's diversity. Over the years, students have left due to the pervasive homophobia of the school, which manifests itself through conversations, physical gestures, and humor. I cannot even count the number of times I've heard the words gay, homo, and fag used to insult someone. Even more volatile, some students don't understand that rendering those words to general vulgarity does, in fact, harm those linguistically linked with them. They don't even know that they're being discriminatory when they don't know it. Coupled with misinformed religious doctrine, which self-proclaims its absolutism, it is very difficult to change social sentiments linked with many people's existential support. That said, anything can change, and it is with this attitude that myself, along with a few others, progressed. Having a couple gay friends at school pushed me to vocalize my beliefs of sexual orientation, equality, and respect. Everyone should be able to interact in an equal environment. Last year, an independent group of students and myself tried to designate a day to honor those individuals who committed suicide because of bullying they received due to their homosexuality. To make a long story short, the administration felt uncomfortable specifying a day particularly for homosexual bullying prevention. Instead, they suggested that there be a day against all forms of bullying. Nothing transpired. This was the first time we encountered the shroud of professionalism that hindered so much good at the school. After a summer of contemplation, I decided I needed to write an editorial about homosexuality for the school's paper, a forum that all could witness. After much deliberation on how to discuss the school's homophobia publicly, the article was ready by early October. It took months, however, to be published, the administration wanting to view it first, yet not making for everyone who needed to read it to actually read it. After being given the bureaucratic shuffle, the article was published almost 3 months later. It questioned how a student body dedicated to justice could hold such prejudiced opinions and outlined where homophobia was in the school. It also challenged the school community to talk about sexuality, discussing its relation to the school and how to improve each individual's beliefs and actions regards to sexual orientation. The goal was to stimulate the institution to conceive a platform where discourse towards respect and eventually equality could flourish. It did just that. From there, I rallied a group through the school's diversity club, and we invited the school community to view the film Milk. Though it did not take 3 months to pass, it took several weeks of careful negotiation to let us show the movie, even after the administration blocked certain kissing scenes, rendering them inappropriate for underclassmen. That was all first semester. Second semester brought some interesting changes to the school's attitude towards sexual orientation awareness. I tried to get a speaker from the Milwaukee LGBT Community Center and 2 gay alumni to speak to the school community about sexual orientation and their experiences at Marquette. The administration shot it down. This time, however, they stimulated an alternative. During Lent, the school had a Words for Life campaign, each week focusing on different areas of diversity and equality that the school could work on. It was amazing to see that a few students could mobilize an institution to function autonomously on an issue. Though I think the school's actions are a start, it cannot just focus on changing people's language, but changing people's minds. Concurrently, during the second semester, I met with another teacher named Mr. Los to try and put together a secular gender retreat where serious discussion on identity, expression, and orientation could occur. Through months of careful planning, he tried to convince the administration to do one. They, however, said no. In the aftermath, a group of students and teachers came together as a forum to conceive ideas to combat misogyny and homophobia. Such a candid meeting had not taken place before. It is sad but true that there are not many speaking out to better the lives of LGBTQIA people at Marquette. Many of my gay friends are either too afraid to speak out, don't know how to vocalize their perspectives for change, or just don't care about altering an age-old discriminatory institution. We're usually preaching to the choir, not in the sense of the idiom, but in a sense to the closed-minded individuals whose prejudiced outlooks incubate at my high school. They just can't wrap their heads around social equality. It would be wrong of me to convey Marquette High as absolute hell, though. There are people who care, especially most of the teachers who are progressive and egalitarian in their principles. As a force that stays at the school, they remain its most cemented voice for justice. With the open discussion about sexuality now created, more students have joined the movement to end homophobia at Marquette. Teachers have held class discussions, and some students are not afraid to talk about it. Dialogue has been stimulated. And with discussion comes listening, and with listening comes openness. More forums on sexuality are being planned for the future, and we are trying to get a retreat over the summer. That said, Marquette has severe problems. The Catholic Church has severe problems. Our goal is for total equality, and we must not compromise through discourse and perspective by assimilating, but rather acculturate. Even though the physical results of assimilating and acculturating may appear the same, the socio-psychological aspects are very distinct. We must transform ill-informed minds, flawed institutions, and the culture so a diversity of peoples can be acknowledged, treated equally, and ultimately embraced. We are making progress.